Welcome to Start Before You're Ready, the podcast that proves that you don't need to wait for the perfect moment to begin your journey towards better health and happiness. I'm your host, Kelly Young. Remember, the first step is often the hardest, but it's always worth taking. Hey guys, it's Kelly, and I'm back with another episode of Start Before You're Ready. Today, my guest is somebody that has inspired me for decades. When I started this podcast, I told myself that if I felt like I was doing well and I was in a good groove, I was going to invite Todd to be a guest on my podcast. I'm getting close to my 50th episode, and I think I am ready. So today, I want to introduce to you the one and only Todd Durkin.
Kelly, thank you so much. Thank you. I love your podcast. I've listened to many of the episodes. I want to congratulate you on, close to 50 episodes or so, what you're doing, how you're doing it. And, your whole theme on Start Before You're Ready is a great theme. Your guests have been awesome. I love your community. You know that. I've been back there. I love them. I love seeing you and how you thrive with them. So thank you for having me on. I'm here to serve in any way I can.
Todd and I have similar timelines in the industry. We both were certified in 1994. So if you do the math on that, been doing this for a while. And one of my favorite things to do as a fitness professional is to attend live events. When I was a student, would find my way to fitness conferences, whether I would be part of the assembly to set up. Sometimes if you couldn't pay for it, you could go and work behind the scenes. And Todd was always the presenter that I would look for on the docket. And the one conference that I was like goosebumps, all the feels, like this guy is really special, was I believe here in Washington, D.C. in Alexandria. And Peter Twist and you were presenting together. And it was when Peter was diagnosed. Well, you were sharing with us about Peter's cancer journey and how he had stage 4 cancer and how he was your buddy and you were up there crying. And it was just this incredibly emotional, powerful, intense workout. Gosh, Todd, do you know the year that was? Do you remember how long ago that was?
I don't remember the year, but I remember the experience vividly. Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty powerful. That's when I really was like, I need to really follow this guy and find out what's going on, because I like his message and I like how much he cares. I love his passion. You have over-delivered for me in so many ways over the last several decades, but most recently, Todd, your podcast has been just what you want it to be for me. It has been a lighthouse. I have enjoyed listening to your podcast week after week, starting back in 2019 for the past 6 years. And I did scroll through. I have missed some episodes. I'm not 100%, but I would probably say I've listened to over 90% of the episodes. And what really stands out to me about your podcast, and this is probably not a good thing in the niche world that we're in, but I love the diversity. I love that sometimes it's your kids, and sometimes it's Drew Brees, and sometimes it's James Clear. And so it's just crazy. I mean, your diversity of guests is so awesome, and it makes it kind of fun to listen to. Like, okay, what's going on? What are we going to hear today? And I don't know if you remember this, but back in 2020, I wrote you a letter just to thank you because you had helped me so much in my personal journey. And you read the letter on the podcast. And I was like, oh my God, he read my letter. So as far as I'm concerned, I've been on your podcast. And I'm going to go ahead and read just a little bit of the letter right now. And then I'm going to dig in and get to and ask you some questions.
Love it.
Dear Todd, I've written this letter in my head countless times. Sometimes I don't get it when my members give me praise for being a leader and helping them through difficult times. It's not that I'm not confident in my ability to serve my community. I just question if they are externalizing their own dedication or my words and actions, or why my words and actions have so much impact. Being a student of yours has given me some insight. I have been following you and your mission to create impact for decades. This is strange for me because I'm not much of a follower. I'm attracted to your authenticity, fired up energy, intelligent insight of people and life, and the grit and tenacity you consistently deliver every day. In my mind, you are the real deal, and that really means something to me. When I consider not showing up as my best self, you get inside my head. You're the perfect role model and mentor. I appreciate that you just don't show up strong for our fitness community and your team at Fitness Quest 10, but also for your family and all the people that have served you over the years. You don't take anything for granted, and I strive to be like that as well. I feel compelled to tell you that you were the voice inside my head when I needed to be a leader during an adverse time. I was able to show up strong, get my mind right, and make a difference during difficult and tumultuous times. I don't have a Luke, Brady, and McKenna, but I do have a Dalton, Brandon, Cameron, and Lindsay. They are linebackers, lacrosse players, and gymnasts. Being their mom is a gift, and I want to show them that cheering for them is my favorite job, but I also want to be true to my own hopes and dreams. My Melanie's name is Andrew, and he is kind-hearted and generous, just like your beautiful wife. My energy also drives him crazy at times. My dad was my hero. He died at 61, and my purpose and passion changed, and my desire to create true impact was born. He didn't write letters, but he taught me that hard work can take you wherever you want to go. You have helped me do this, Todd, directly and indirectly. You lead by example. You're a giver, and you are a hero in my eyes. Last week, you said to Petra, this was going back to Petra's podcast, you said, sometimes you do things that aren't perfect. And I'd been holding off writing this letter because I don't think I can truly express my gratitude and admiration. But because of that message that you gave in that particular podcast, I wanted to send you this letter. So, Todd, thank you for now.
Wow. Thank you. Those words mean even more today than they did when I read them on the podcast a few years ago. Thank you, Kelly.
Well, it's all true. And I think one of the things that is most notable about you, if you listen to what people say about you over and over again, is your ability to attract incredible people. You have just this natural ability to bring people together that are supposed to be together. You attract very high quality people. And I've met some of my greatest friends and colleagues through the Todd Durkin Mastermind. And I want to talk a little bit about that because being part of the mastermind is one of the things that I value most. Todd, what would you say to someone that doesn't have a group or is thinking about having a group, a place where they can mastermind and they can share and get better together?
Yeah. A couple things, if I can just mention, because you made me smile and laugh when you talked about the podcast and how it's all over the place with guests, right? Welcome inside my mind. Yeah. Welcome inside, because I never want to get bored with what I do. And this deals with some of your question, but in the podcast, it drives my team nuts sometimes that I'm like, no, we're going to have all these different people or solos and that. But I do get feedback because of the diversity that people do like that. And it's not always easy for the team to help plan out everything, because I am very much all right, I just want to flow and go, and I do my best work when I'm that way versus planning out 3 months and batch recording everything, which is probably the smart thing to do. So it drives them nuts, but I appreciate the validation that you like it, because I find that it's just very authentic and real when it's that way. I try to balance it out, but thank you for that, because I do pride myself on what we do with the Impact Show as far as bringing quality content to people's ears. And Kelly, you listening in, I know how busy you are and what you do with your community, with the boot camp and with energy and all. I just value that you listen to it, and I appreciate the feedback. As far as the question as it pertains to how you find your community, I think that, and this is more of a macro kind of an answer, but I just find that it's so easy today to sink down to people's levels of mediocrity, and there's a lot of mediocrity out there. It's part of why we do what we do, is because people are attracted to raising their standard or raising who they're hanging out with. Heck, I've been to your studio. I've been to your classes. The people there are fire-breathing dragons. They're people who want to be around great energy, and you guys ignite that energy inside of people. that's what people need today. That's what they're looking for today, and they need it. And I don't find there's a lot of people who can set that flame on fire. You're one of those people, Kelly, that does that, and who you are around, because I've met a lot of your people. You've brought people to our events, right, to our retreats and all, and they're all kindred spirits. And I just find, how do you find that is, well, it's places like this, the podcast. People are like, man, how do I get more of Kelly? How do I get more of Todd? Well, listen to the podcast, or come to a retreat, or show up at this event. And then you find there's always, I don't know, 2, 3, 5 people when you look back in your life that had tremendous impact on your journey. And when you get in the rooms with people like that and you spend time listening, I know myself, sometimes just listening to someone's voice brings me almost like a sense of peace or comfort or validation of what I'm doing. And I could be out for a walk in the early morning and I'm listening to a podcast, and sometimes I hear what they're saying, but I'm in my own trance that it brings out something in me. And I think every one of us needs people that heighten our level of play, that heighten who we are and brings out the best of what's inside of us, because all of us have that in us. So I think it's what you're doing, Kelly, with not only your podcast, because you're doing a great job. And again, I've listened to many of your episodes, but also obviously at your gym and what you're doing and the track and journey, what we've been on together, and what your soul is about, what your family's about. And I love just watching Dalton last week here as we record this play a lacrosse game. And I got to tell you, and it's probably because of our relationship, but I told Melanie on the way out of that stadium, that was one of the best nights I've had in a long time, because our family was together, all 5 of us. Oh, my kids are home from college. And like, we're watching not just a lacrosse game, but I'm watching Dalton. And here we are, like a year ago, sitting at your dining room table with you, Andrew, and all the kids. And we're talking about, man, I just want to be a regular on the team, and I want to make it. And here he is. Yeah. And here he is, just playing in San Diego. Beautiful night, great people all around. It was a magical night. So again, it's the people that you connect with that really can help make, one's journey complete.
Well, you go out of your way for a lot of people, Todd, and sometimes it seems almost like impossible. Like, how does he have these deep, intense relationships with so many people from so many walks of life? I really respect that about you, but it almost could seem like it's not. But that is you. That is part of your being, and that is one of your many gifts. And I imagine, and obviously we learned through True Strength, that sometimes that's heavy, right? That's heavy. Like, not only your whole your own family and extended family, you've got all these people in the world that are really relying on you. And I know that you do so much work. This is another thing I admire about you, for your own health, to optimize your own health, to keep your mind right, to keep your body right. The message is so much more powerful coming from someone who's finding a way to do those things that we're all striving to do. We're all striving to live our best life and to optimize our health. You make it fun. I guess that's one of the things that I wanted to say to you, is that you make fitness fun, you make coaching fun, you make Zoom calls fun.
Well, thank you. But here's the deal, like, as one grows, and again, Kelly, I know several of your members, and I know what they think of you and your team and that. But as we grow, as individuals grow, and you play at a higher level, you get around people who are playing at higher levels, you realize that expectations go up and standards are always high. So you got to do everything you can to operate as your best self. And I always say, like in my 10 forms of wealth that I teach, is without your physical health and without your spiritual side, like, you can only be so good. You can only be as good as, you're going to be physically, mentally, and spiritually. To me, that physical health side, especially nowadays with all that's at our fingertips and one has access to be healthy and to be vibrant and to be clear and focused. I've been around a lot of people who are operating at an extreme high level, and I've learned a lot from them, and I've enacted a lot of those habits or biohacks, if you will, that allow allow me to put myself in a situation that can operate consistently at a high level, right? That doesn't mean I'm always on. And some people think I'm always on. Ask Melanie. I'm not always on. When I go off, I go off. But when I'm on, I'm on. It's how can we be on consistently for longer periods of time and be focused and be authentic about it. And that's what I've committed to. It doesn't mean that, again, I'm always on or I'm always quote healthy or that, but I do my best with the resources that I have and the people who I know to do what I need to do to operate at that level.
Some of my favorite, I'm going to highlight them, but some of my favorite podcasts with you are when you talk about optimizing your health, whether you have another professional on talking about it, or you're talking about your own best practices. And going back to podcasts, before and in preparing to interview you today, I went back and just scrolled through to kind of highlight my favorite out of all of the podcasts that you've done. And I just screenshotted it. I didn't count. I was like, oh yeah, this one. And the way I did it in my head was, what's memorable? Which one do I remember sharing the most? I share these a lot. Like I'll text them to my community. Wow. Well,
I'm excited to hear.
And I'm gonna read them. And if you wanna make a little comment about it, you can. And the first one, I've shared this with you before. It's funny. It's episode 123. It's episode number 123, and it was Meet the Mobility Maker with Dana Santes. I was so impressed with your interviewing skills in that particular podcast. I don't think either of you planned on going where you went. It was very emotional. Dana's actually from her original hometown is close to where I'm from. So I could visualize. I don't know, that one really got me.
Go through all 10 of what they are. And I'll Kevin, because I'll say this, I can go off on any of them, obviously. But I remember you're exactly right with Dana is I went in a direction that I had I wasn't planning on going there. I think sometimes those are the best interviews when you end up going a place that you didn't plan and it's just real talk about how people became who they became. And I can tell you, I still remember this, and that was several years ago. That was one of the hardest podcasts to edit because I forget what happened, but something happened on my team. You're going to have to work magic on this, but they were able to splice and dice it together and take the stories, and there was some audio anyway.
Yeah, that one is earlier on.
I remember it's always the stories that no one knows of, like how many hours you put into creating your show. Oh, it sounds so great, Kelly. You're doing such an awesome job. You're like, if you only knew the blips and things that you got to correct and the time it takes, it's always more than you think. Keep going.
Okay. Next one is your nighttime routine, the key to high performance. And that was episode 138. And I just thought this was such a great episode because everyone talks about their morning routine, right? And yeah, I wake up early, okay, but your nighttime routine episode was probably one of the episodes that I shared the most with people.
Well, I'll say this about that, and why I did it was because I was struggling with my nighttime routine. Because it was during the pandemic that I realized I'm doing my morning routine. I'm doing everything during the day I can, including all my optimization, but I'm sleeping like garbage. So I really dialed in the nighttime routine. I shared that nighttime routine. I still didn't know at that time, a nighttime routine, that I was dealing with sleep apnea, which was later diagnosed because I was like, man, I have to improve my sleep. It's horrible. I feel like I wake up, I'm exhausted, and I go to the gym because you're supposed to go to the gym. I have to have caffeine and then some because I'm so exhausted. Well, my nighttime routine was 3-2-1. If you remember, everything was 3 hours before, eat, 2 before you shut down work, and an hour before. It's all personal care, self-care, and what I do for that. So I was just sharing in real time. This is what I'm doing. This is at this point, not knowing some of what I later found out. But to this day, my nighttime routine is very, very important.
Yeah, that was a really good one. Go back and listen to that, guys, episode 138. This one is Prison Push-Ups and Purpose, the story of Travis Barnes. Travis is one of my favorite humans, and I just learned so much from his journey. And I don't think I knew as much detail until I heard this episode. So I was really grateful for this episode. And why don't you talk about, Todd, Travis, your relationship with Travis, and now where you and Travis are, because it's different than it was back at episode 152.
Well, I'll tell you, I feel bad saying this, but I've been coaching Travis for 15 years, and literally, like, he got part of my highest level coaching group, and he wrote a book. He asked me, hey, can you read my book? Now, Kelly, like you've got a stack of books on your desk that people may send you. And I'm like, I'm trying to get through them all, but I don't get through them all. And we had this meeting coming up, and I brought his book, but I hadn't read it. He's like, did you read my book yet? I said, no. He's like, do me a favor. Read page 28. I'm like, all right, I'll read page 28. I read page 28, and I started to cry. I'm like, I feel so bad that this guy for about a month has been like, hey, I sent you a book. Did you read it? I'm like, no, I haven't gotten to it yet. And he shared a story that I didn't know prior to me knowing him, that when he was a young man, that he went to prison. And he shares his transformation story through push-ups and through fitness, and that of how he transformed his life. And now he got into fitness and health and started his own business and gym and all that. And I was like, I feel like such a loser right now that I didn't read this, and I'm coaching him, and he never shared it. So I go, Travis, you need to share your story with your people. He's like, I can't share this story with my people. Now, obviously he has, and a decade later, through God's plan and all of that, he is my business partner at Impact X Performance and what I'm doing. But again, it took me. It took me a few years to get to that point, and then this is over a decade ago when that actually happened. But now, he's one of my closest folks in my inner circle. He's a great business partner. He's a hardworking man. He's just there, like you, Kelly. He's there everywhere, looking to serve people as best he can with what he does. And I couldn't be more grateful for Travis's story. And I think, it doesn't matter if it's, listen, everyone's been through some tough times in their life if they've been around the block for a little while. We all have a story. I always talk about live a life worth telling a story about. But sometimes we hide behind our stories or are afraid to share our stories because of things that happened to us or that we did. Travis is a great example of how a story can transform a community or communities, and what you can do with your story, good or bad, and really make it into, one of impact. And that's what Travis has done and is doing.
He's also an incredible example of growth. I mean, since I've known him, to see what is possible and the man he has become as a leader in our industry, a presenter. He's learned from you, Todd, and he's so genuine in his desire to give back. It's powerful. Like, he's someone I do not want to let down, because I feel like his mission is so strong. And if he puts you as part of his mission, you're just like, I want to make sure that I'm doing the things that I said I'm going to do. So, your relationship is I think really, really special. And I think you enhance each other. Now it's like you're I'm sure in his mind you're still his mentor, but I think you both push each other in a really powerful way. So,
and that goes to your question earlier. You asked about how you find people that you can hang with and collaborate with. When I look at who I work with now at TDE, Todd Durkin Enterprises, all of those people are people who started coaching in my group. Kelly Watson. Kelly runs our entire coaching program. All of our coaches, they started inside of the mastermind and worked into, they wanted to grow their coaching business on that. Guys like, like Travis, obviously in Impact X Performance, and what I'm doing with Andrew Simpson on the mindset coaching side of things. So all of these folks are people who've come up through that. Travis is a great example, but I think that's how we all grow, is as you listen to people's dreams and visions. When you say my network of people, when someone comes to me with an opportunity, I don't always say yes because I can do it. It might be yes because we can do it, because I know someone who I could put into a role that I could say, yes, we can partner up with Kelly Young on this because she can execute and is the best in the world at this. So I'll sometimes feel these opportunities, say, who in my network can help us execute this, because we can ultimately impact thousands or tens of thousands or hundred thousands or millions of people through this initiative. And Travis is a great example of what we're doing with IXP on all things. And to your point, he's got a servant heart. I mean, he wants to serve people.
Todd, talk a little bit about IXP because everyone doesn't know what IXP is.
Yeah. Last year, 2024, I started Impact X Performance, and it is a fitness and recovery franchise. And it has 4 pillars to it: fitness, recovery, life coaching, and faith. I've always led a faith-based business, by the way. For 25 years with Fitness Quest 10 has been a faith-based business. But I put it a little bit more out in the forefront with Impact X Performance because of my story of what I had been through in this 3.5-year period from 2020 to 2023 and going through a very, very difficult and challenging time. I share it all in the book. And I believe not that God was testing me, but God was putting me in a place where he was setting me up for what would eventually be Impact X Performance so I could scale my vision to impact 100 million people. My vision is to impact not now 10, but 100 million people through health and fitness. And I wasn't able to do that with Fitness Quest 10 as a one-stop shop. And through all that had been down, I was like, I'm going to start this fitness and recovery. It's a holistic franchise where we can grow that. I had started a life coaching certification program because I think life coaching fitness is a gateway and opens people up, their bodies, minds, and souls to getting to their next level. And then the faith-based side is, listen, I love working with people, and I don't care of their backgrounds and where they come from and what religion they are. We've got everyone, atheist, agnostic, all different religions. Heck, I got people in my family who are Jewish in my family. And, you know, to me, I got next to Pastor Jeremiah, one of the most iconic pastors in the world. He's training right next to a woman who is Hindu. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, but I do as a Christian-based man, we have faith-based options for people. If they want to go deeper, they opt into that. They can do things, fellowship groups outside of the gym that we have the opportunity to do that. And that's something I stand behind because I do believe that when you look at body, mind, soul, many times it's kind of cute to say, you know, body, mind, spirit, or body, mind, soul. I wanted to actually live it and breathe it like I do fitness because like, oh, he's a trainer and works with all these NFL guys. No. I work with people of all ages, shapes, and sizes, and of all different belief systems as well. But I wanted to go deeper in something that got me through a very, very dark time. And I can go off on that and I won't, but I do believe there is a lot of darkness out there. And I believe, Kelly, you're a lighthouse. You're doing that through Energy and Kelly's Boot Camp. You're a lighthouse. I look at you as someone who is living the mission to help people with their body, mind, and soul. There's a lot of people in career transition right now who are like, man, I want to do that, but I don't know how the heck I'd make that transition. I'm talking to a lot of people right now who want to become part of IXP because we have the systems, we have everything down, and they just need to step into our system and help execute to be a lighthouse to hit 200, 300, 500 people in their community and help save kids' lives, help save moms and dads' lives, help save their own life potentially because of the impact that they're making. So in a nutshell, that's what Impact X Performance is. And I'm really, really proud of how far we've come in just about a year's time. There's 6 locations right now, and we're looking to grow in the next several years. But I'm also doing it organically with attracting people who want to go deep on the mission to be the light and be people who want to create impact in their communities.
Yeah, I think that's awesome, Todd. And you were similar to me, and like you, when people would ask you, because Fitness Quest 10, which was the gym that Todd owned and operated for 20 plus years, right? It's 25th anniversary. Yes. Why wouldn't you put these everywhere? And you were kind of bullish on, no, that wasn't the place you were going to put. You didn't say this then, but I think in hindsight, it's interesting to look and see like that would maybe not be the model to replicate because it was because of its history.
Yeah, I totally. I piecemeal that together based on 25 years of that's not the exact model I could replicate. And it was built. It was very I don't say clunky, but it was very, very heavy on labor and we had 42 people inside of that. Well, it's not easy to scale a model that has, hey, you need 30 people to execute it or 42 people to execute it. And that was just built through time and hard work and grit and all that stuff. And again, when you read True Strength, you'll understand exactly why I didn't scale just Fitness Quest 10, because I was like, I need to get out and I need to get some time to think and dream, because I'm shot, I'm burnt out, I'm done. And Kelly, I have shared with you before, but in 2020, 21, when I tried to put the weight of the world on my back and carry it, and my back broke for a second time, I really didn't know if I could keep going. And I considered moving to like Montana, and like I can't go anymore. I've done everything I can. My time is up. And that's where I get into my faith stuff in the book of like, God had a different plan. He really did. And his whole plan, unbeknownst to me at that time, was I'm not done with you. As a matter of fact, this is going to be a setup for you of something that you're going to be working on. And I'm in the middle of it right now, of in 2024, when this all came to fruition. And then Travis, who's the systems guy. I'm not a systems guy. As I said, like the ADD podcast, that's why I could never scale Fitness Quest 10, because I'm like, it's based a lot on me and my personality and everything else. And Travis is the systems guy. So we've got all of it so dialed in with the system side of it that you need that person if you're going to scale it to multiple locations. And that's what I'm proud of. And again, that's how the relationship rose to the level of partnering up, and Travis being a business partner inside of Impact X Performance. But that was born a lot of from what I went through this dark valley. And Pastor Jeremiah, who wrote the foreword to my book, True Strength, he shares, right? The crest of the wave determines the depth of the valley. The depth of the valley determines the crest of the wave. I had tasted a lot of crests in the mountain. I hadn't sat in that valley in a long time. And I never had sat in that valley for 3.5 years before. And that valley, don't forget, there's a lot of fruit in the valley. And if you're walking through a valley today, none of us like to be in the valley. We hate it. We don't like it. But when we look back, there's a lot of fruit in the valley. And I went through a lot of pain, Kel, like physical pain. And physical pain brings on mental anguish. And here I was, I had just written the book, Get Your Mind Right. And here I was, my mind wasn't right because I'm in physical pain. My back's broken. I had my second knee replacement. My body's falling apart because I'm trying to save the world. I'm like, man, I can't go. I can't go. And again, that's where my faith walk deepened immensely. And I did a lot of prayer and thoughtful time. And I did a lot of reading. I read on a guy named Winston Churchill. And I realized that Winston Churchill, before he became Winston Churchill, had taken 10 years off and went to the garden out in the countryside and worked with his hands so he can really connect with the earth. I'm like, I never knew Winston Churchill took 10 years off and like almost like a sabbatical. And then when he came back, he came back during this time when Hitler was over, trying to take over the world. And Winston Churchill became Winston Churchill as we know him now. But he credited all of that time off where he was in his hands in the soil, preparing, unbeknownst to him. He didn't know he was going to have this, quote, comeback. And I liken that now to Winston Churchill. I'm like, my 3.5 years, man, was a long 3.5 years, long. But I also realized when I look back is what was a setup for what I'm, in the middle of right now.
Yeah, I think a lot of people can relate with that, Todd. So that's really a powerful share. The next one is quarterback your own health. We talked about this a little bit with Peter Twist. And Meet David Rick, the mind and soul of the Bosu inventor. That was a good one. I'm a huge fan of that particular piece of equipment, and I had never heard his story. I have, like many of us, a lot of personal connection to mental health. And I just thought that you did such a great job in interviewing him. And again, it was one of those things where I don't know that he was going to share as much as he did. It was a really good, powerful interview. Anyone that's used the Bosu ball, which every gym in America has one, or different pieces of equipment, would I think be interested to hear from the inventor. And inventors are, in my opinion, interesting people in general. If you have the mind to invent, you have a unique mind. So I just really enjoyed that episode. And the next one, I know I've told you this before, and this might not, he's been on your episode a couple times. This might not be the one that I love, that I shared multiple times. Because I personally am not a fan of intermittent fasting, but it's intermittent fasting, fasted cardio, sports nutrition supplementation, and must-do nutrition hacks with Robert Yang. I love Robert Yang. His saying, he said in one of your podcasts, he said, PFF is your BFF. And that is like probably one of my top 10 things that I say: protein, fat, and fiber. So when someone's coming to me and they're just starting out and they don't know what to do and they have no direction, and I just say, just remember this. If you don't remember anything else, if I never see you again, it's okay. But just remember, PFF is your BFF. And then I'll see them. I'll be like, what did I tell you? And they're like, best friend forever. That's all they remember. But, but yeah, that was really good. This podcast was incredible. I'm sure you got amazing feedback on it. Episode 269 with Pedros. That was pretty powerful. Yeah. This one, it was another one I probably shared the most. Episode 327 with Brett Kilka. Is that how I say his last name? Kilka. Kilka. That's right. Yep. I know Brett from just being in the fitness industry for a long time, and I loved when he did all the work with kids, and he's just an incredible presenter. And I know he was your partner, one of your first employees.
Well, Brett was one of our first trainers here at Fitness Quest 10. I admire Brett for his transformation. Listen, way back in the day, we used to compete to see how many clients
I love those stories.
Have in a day, and we'd be so mad if somebody canceled that day, because I'd have 12 sessions, he'd have 13. I'd have 13, he'd have 12. And these are hour-long sessions, by the way, starting at 6 a.m. And like, if someone canceled, you lose for the day. And we did that for years.
People don't see. All that grind.
Right. I mean, we kept each other going. And, just tragically, his wife, Lisa, who I knew obviously very well, passed away unexpectedly. And hey, he's still in that. That was just a couple of years ago, and he's still getting through that. But he was brave enough to come on the show and talk a lot about, his world now as a single dad and what he's doing and how he's getting through it. And he continues to feed the fitness industry as well as what he's doing with his coaching. So that was a memorable one for me as well.
And this was recent. So this is episode number 425, Avoid a Heart Attack by Doing This. And you had is it your cardiologist? Yep. Preventative cardiologist. Yes. He came on basically because he knows my history. My dad died of a heart attack when he was 58, and he knew it was in my genetics. So he's a cardiologist, and he said, "Hey, I have a clinic that does preventative cardiology." I'm like, "What's preventative cardiology?" He said, "We get to you before there's a problem. We look at the plaque that's in the heart versus just your cholesterol, because a lot of times in the allopathic world we look at cholesterol, but cholesterol," he goes, "frankly, I don't give a hill of beans about cholesterol. It's not about your cholesterol, it's about your plaque, because plaque is what kills you. You get a blockage, you die." So my ears were up. I'm like, "Doc, how do I get this test? Is it expensive?" He's like, "No, it's not too bad. It's a little over $1,000 and you get the whole 9 yards. It's all three-dimensional." So I get this three-dimensional heart analysis with AI infused in it. And I went through in that episode my own results and what I found and what I discovered and what I thought. And he came on, and he's awesome because he spoke of things I'd never really heard of before from a physician, from a cardiologist who does heart surgery, and saying how half the stuff we listen to is not right, and that he totally believes that it's plaque. Shows you, depending on your age, and how you prevent it, not just from medicine, but through certain supplementations based on where you're at with what your numbers are. Again, how you get out in front of it, how much fish oils you need, how much coenzyme Q10 you need. Do you need a statin or not? Yeah. Like all of these things to prevent it before it becomes a problem. Yeah, I made my guys listen to it. We had one of my students had a heart attack this year in triple bypass surgery. This all happened in February, and he's back. He's back, and he's great, and he's strong, and he credits his doctor's credit his what he did before, the heart attack. So he does my DW program, Todd, you'll love this. And in our DW program, which is they get on the InBody every month and they have to do a reflection. So that's their aha. So this, when he came back this in June, he's like, well, aha has a new meaning for me now. It's now after heart attack. So
I like that.
Our community is pretty
that.
dialed in right now to heart health, and they've got all the guys are going to doing just the test that he spoke about. And it's, yeah, you're right. It's expensive, but it's an investment in your health.
But exactly. It's not really that expensive when you think about, God forbid, what happens if, because we're so reactive on that. And here's the thing. Like, well, I'm working out, I'm eating good, my stress levels are moderate, or, whatever. You think that's enough. But the genetics is everything. The genetics is really nowadays, you have to be working out. You have to be eating well. You have to be doing your best to keep stress at a moderate level or below, right? Like, you want to minimize stress levels. Even with that, genetics plays a huge role, so you've got to stay in front of it. And now with modern day testing in Medicine 3.0, as it's called, in Medicine 3.0, you can prevent it if you stay on top of it and you get a 3-dimensional scan of your heart and you look inside your heart. You're like, wow, this is really cool. And there's, to your point, there's places around the country that can now do this and look inside your heart, and you get these reports back that are fascinating.
I think it's fascinating, but I also have a little bit of a personal peeve with this, and this might be more personal in my own family, but you get all these extensive tests. Well, first of all, you need to be dialed into the basics, right? You need to be working out. You need to have good nutrition. You need to be good in good sleep. You need to be managing your stress. You need to be doing those things. And these tests are wonderful, but then when you get the results, if you are not going to change your behavior or start making some kind of change, I just say don't bother. I mean, I get a little mad because you have all this information that is so powerful, and you're not going to do the work. Don't bother. Don't bother.
Yeah, I do. Yep, I agree. And one of the things I like about a test, though, is it provides a baseline. So let's say I go back in 3 years from now and I see the trend getting better or worse, that I'm doing the work or I'm not doing the work, or the work that I'm doing isn't working. So I need to up my level of whatever it may be. So one of the reasons why I did it in December and January of this past year, 7-8 months ago, was for the reason of I want a baseline. Whether it comes out good or bad, when I take this test again in 3 years and I see where I'm at, I'm either getting better or I'm getting worse. And if it's worse, oh boy, I better buckle up, because as I approach age 58, I got a mental block in my own head is, shoot, this is when Dad died. Yeah, I'm healthy. Yeah, I work out. Yeah, I do my best to eat right and all these other things. But if I got this block at 58, this is a big number for me. I got to know where I'm at. So am I getting better? Am I getting worse? So to get that baseline test, to me, is a no-brainer, at least when I look at internal.
That's a really good point about the baseline too. And I'm being a little bit, I do feel like a lot of people have a lot of resources, and that's great. But here's invest in good, healthy food being delivered to your house. Invest in some of the things that are maybe lower, that seem lower, but that's going to make a bigger difference. I mean, it's all the stuff that we preach. Okay, last one. And I swear I just scrolled and screenshotted, and then I counted them because I'm like, I wanted 10, but I actually had 10. So this is I think your most recent, and it was on Monday, and I loved every word of it. And I have so many people in my workout community, Todd, they're in their 60s now, and they blow me away with their fitness and their mindset and their drive to get better. Just that mindset of like, I'm not done yet. I'm just so appreciative of that. So Greg Justice, his most recent podcast, he's our friend that was on the American Ninja Warrior. A lot of my students watched 63 years old, episode 433. And I just love how fired up Greg got in that episode. One of the messages that he gave that I found the most profound was about age not being a number, but it was like he earned this. And it was so weird because on Saturday I had one of my boot campers turn 65 and he did 65 ball throws. You would love this guy. He's from Rhode Island. He's the best. And he's Boston accent. Anyway, and I had all my 6-year-olds getting in the front, and then Greg Justice's episode came out on Monday. I was like, this is exactly what I was trying to say on Saturday. Greg is delivering that message. So that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, Greg is a special man. You talk about servant leaders and givers. I mean, Greg Justice, again, here's a guy that I've been coaching for close to 15 years, and he's an industry icon, but he's behind the scenes in a lot of ways. He's written 30-something books. He is a massive support to Elaine LaLanne, Jack LaLanne's wife, who's 99 years old, and putting together a book right now called Her Legacy, which is a tribute that we're going to do for Elaine LaLanne on her 100th birthday next March 19th in 26. He cares about everything and everyone. And even to your point about the podcast, I felt the energy behind him of how excited he was to share, and not necessarily to share what he did, but to share Jack LaLanne's legacy as the godfather of fitness, and how your bank account and your health account are the same thing. The more deposits you make, the better it's going to be. And like, it was so real and authentic. And to see Greg thriving at 63, 64 now years of age, it's just awesome. Yeah. Great. A great 10, Kelly. I like your choices. You brought me back a little bit. You just encapsulated 6 years in about.
Yeah, it was hard because I really, really do enjoy them all for different reasons. But like I said, it's like I tried to pick ones that like I remember that were the most memorable to me. So Todd, I want you to, so one of the things that I get to experience from you as being a member of the Todd Durkin Mastermind and going on live retreats with you and being in huddles and being on calls is your coaching. And you have a lot of gifts, but I would put coaching at the top of the list, whether you're coaching your kids, whether you're coaching our mastermind, whether you're coaching your athletes, your professional athletes, Super Bowl champions, all the incredible people that you've coached in your life. And in reading Coaching Greatness, you talk a lot about the coaches in your life. I know that's a big part of your story. And that's actually one of the things that also attracted me to you was I really love that you remember everybody. You remember everybody. You remember every coach, what they said to you, how they made you feel, the car rides. There's something special about that, Todd. Not everyone is like that. Not everybody values things that you value as strongly as you do. And coaches, I think, are some of the greatest people on this earth. And I think you are one of the greatest coaches. So anybody that's inspiring to be a better coach, anybody that's inspiring to be a better leader, what would be your advice for them?
Definitely read the book because it is my manifesto. It's my manifesto. Frankly, Kelly, I wanted to come out with Coaching Greatness, the book Coaching Greatness, before True Strength, because I had 2 books in me several years ago that I wanted to write. And Coaching Greatness is a lot easier book to write than True Strength, because True Strength, I'm sharing all my dirty laundry. I'm sharing the things that were really, really hard to share. Coaching Greatness is like, it's me. It's my soul of like what makes me go. So I'd say, I mean, there's 10 points in my Coaching Greatness manifesto that I do believe are principles that we live by, that the best coaches in the world that I've had the opportunity to coach under or be mentored by or to observe as a coach who works with some of the best athletes in the world. I've had a lot of conversations and been around a lot of other great coaches, guys like Lou Holtz, Marv Levy, some of the guys that, back in the day were that, and I had a chance to pick some brains and learn from them. I guess if there's one thing, I think the best coaches in the world have the ability to inspire people and get them to believe in themselves, sometimes more than they believe in themselves. So a great coach can help someone instill belief in them more than they believe in themselves. Because why? I think the human brain many times when we're close to greatness, we sometimes stop, or the limiting beliefs get in our way, and we hem and haw for 6 months, 12 months. We never take the leap that we're destined to take because of fear or because of trepidation, because of uncertainty of where we're going. And sometimes that nudge from a great coach is, I believe in you and you're destined for this. And the conviction that one has, if they do have that man or woman can step into their full potential. I think that's one of the things that coaches do, is they help people step into their full potential so they can live with more fulfillment, not just success. I'm actually starting a series right now on our podcast all on this. And Kelly, you know it because I've talked about like the 4 S's: survival, stability, success, into significance. But we all strive for more success and significance. Significance meaning how you impact people at the greatest level beyond even yourself. And to me, coaches help people live their best life with more success in any area of their life, and significance to the point when their time is up, that legacy goes on into perpetuity. And to me, a coach has that ability to instill that belief, that conviction, that inspiration in someone that they can step into their best self.
Yeah, that's so good. I love that. I am so grateful for your time, Todd. I want to be somewhat respectful to it because I know you've already had a busy day. Tell us about your morning. What would you do this morning, Todd?
Well, I'll tell you what, Kelly, thank you for that. But interesting you ask. And I was a few minutes late for this podcast starting because I was dealing with an athlete who's going through a tough time right now in life. And I didn't have to, but my heart was with this person, and this is something that's very serious, and I wanted to be there. And honestly, I came to tears, Kelly, because this is when I do my best work. I hate to see people have to struggle or go through tough times, but the fact is we do. And as a coach, I sometimes feel like I do my best work when things aren't always right, and that I can be there to listen, to maybe give counsel because of things that I've been through, or wisdom of, something that someone's walking through as a young man or woman. This morning, that was part of my morning. And
yeah, so you're athletes this morning. Yeah.
I was coaching. I was coaching in the weight room, and then I had to coach outside the weight room because sometimes the biggest magic doesn't happen in the weight room. And as you know, it doesn't happen in your fitness area when I'm seeing all the people in the parking lots and doing stuff, and in the studio you have. Sometimes the coaching happens out in the parking lot, and I say not in the parking lot, not meaning when they're working out, but they're at the way to the car, and they say, "Can I talk to you?" Like this person, and we made a left turn, and he said, "I need to talk to you," and that soon turned into tears. And listen, just because someone is at a certain level in sport or life or finances, that doesn't make them immune to real world problems. And we all need to make sure that we reach out when there is a problem to coaches like you, Kelly, or the team of I've been there and done that, because I said it earlier, but fitness is a gateway to open up life and how you get through tough times and challenge adversity, whether it be with relationships, whether it be with finances or business decisions. And I had to do some serious coaching this morning. So when you asked about my morning, I did my morning routine. I came to the gym to train my NFL guys. I had to do some coaching afterwards on that. And then I'm like, I got to leave. I got a podcast I get with my girl, Kelly Young. We're going to do a podcast. So you know what? To me, that's a blessing, honestly. And sometimes it drives me nuts because like you, I get pulled in different directions, but I'm like, okay, God, do I need to be here right now? Is this where I'm at right now? And this is where I'm supposed to be right now. And what I do is I have developed over time the ability to compartmentalize of when I'm here right now on this podcast, I'm 100% in on this podcast and not thinking about wherever else I'm supposed to be or what I'm supposed to do. And I think that's also way back to bring it full circle, why sometimes the podcast is ADD for me, because if I come across someone, I'm like, man, I need to get this person on the podcast, and I get them on, it's like sometimes a fascinating discussion of that. So I feel like there's so much we could talk about, Kelly. If you ever want me back, I'll come back for part 2.
You just stole my last line. So as I was stressing, and I'm enjoying the podcast process so much, I really am, and I'm not making it something that is stressful for me. But I was a little stressed just because the only reason why I was because I felt like there was 100 things I wanted to talk to you about. And there was just so many, like there's coaching, there's podcasting, there's the mastermind, there's, your world with athletes and so many things that you do that my audience is interested in. And that's why they listen to you and read your books. And that's why 100 people showed up when you came to our studio last year. But I told myself, I'm like, I am going to ask Todd to be on my 100th episode. So one, it keeps me going. And two, I don't feel like I have to do everything today. So we're going to mark our calendars for episode 100 and all the things that I say to myself for the rest of the day. I should ask him this. I should ask him this. I'm just going to write the notes on my phone and we'll do it in 50 episodes.
I have an idea too. I would say this, I was going to share is I love your community also. I'd love to make part of that next episode questions they have for us, you and me, because if from this episode, Kelly, you didn't ask this, or I'd like to know that. Maybe we make it our top 10 questions that your community has. Listen, I was back there. When I was back there last year, I felt the energy you've been talking about, that I've been hearing about for so long. And I love your people. They reach out and I love what you're doing. I love seeing everything you're doing. Matter of fact, you don't know this, but you're going to feel me here, Kelly, in about a week. I'm going to be in and out of the Washington, D.C. area very quickly. I have an opportunity. I'll be speaking in Nova Scotia next week, but on the tail end of that, I'm going to be going to the 10th and E parade for the Marine Corps. I'm a guest at this parade. I'm speaking to 75 drill instructors. It's going to be awesome to be back there, but I'm going to go from the Naval Academy to D.C. back to the Naval Academy. But you're going to smell me. All your people are going to smell me. They may hear me. And if anything happens and I get delayed in the craziness, I got a couple stops I got to make. I'm coming to work out at your place, and I'm gonna show up if I get delayed again with all these flights I keep getting delayed on. Because I love coming back there and seeing you and your people and your family, and I just want to thank you for everything you're doing, not just with the podcast, but with all the people you're just mentoring and coaching at the studio, in the parking lot, and in the studio. I love seeing that. It makes me happy. So thank you.
Thank you, Todd. Thank you so much. Look forward to episode 100. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Start Before You're Ready. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share with a friend who might need a little motivation. Ready to start your own journey? Check out our workouts and nutrition coaching programs at kellysbootcamp.net. You can choose from in-person sessions or virtual programs. Set up a complimentary coaching session to get started. Follow along with me and the show on social media at Kellys_bootcamp. Until next time, this is Kelly Young reminding you that the best time to start is always now.